Hey everybody, before we get started, this is reminding you this episode brought to you by patrons like Ahengo Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sodasan0424, and VideoGamer75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thanks for your support, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going old school today. That's a big sip.
That's a big sip. Lucky doesn't have coffee. Lucky doesn't have an energy drink today. He has coffee.
Sip. All right.
Sip.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Let's Talk FGO, the show that will come to you, except if stopped by hell or high water. I am one of your hosts, the Ghost in the Machine, Omega. With me, as always, is Anime Vampire Lucky.
You had to reach for that for a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't prep for this. I was like...
Anyway, it's close enough. Everyone, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka Wash Your Neck and Wait. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EM version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should go lose a 10-hour stream.
I'm gonna double up on the spoiler warning for two reasons. One, we're doing Teach-Me Omega Sensei today, so if you haven't completed part 1, oh boy! Yeah. And also, hey, all you complainers, Case Files is done now. It happened. We're gonna talk about Case Files. We specifically waited another, hour-ish. Lucky I had to do some other stuff, but we waited a little bit so I could watch the last 2 episodes, because there's some other stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit. But here we are.
Ta-da!
So, yeah, that's the show. We're gonna start. I will explain later why the show is delayed. But, yeah, let's see. Where are we? We're about 2 minutes in. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and check in with everybody's favorite Kohai. I still don't know where my button is now. Curse you, changing the layouts of my button machine. I should probably just isolate this on my own, but then it gets even more complex to play. Yes, we're going to check in with Mash.
Senpai! 起きてください.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, Rigging for pro tips. Lucky, you wrote a fucking paragraph. You read this. I was before the show started, I literally wrote the section. I don't even know, dude, because I've been away from thinking for a while. So go ahead.
Well, luckily, Lucky came in with the paragraph. So not so much a pro tip, but a good reminder. Make sure to clean up in game occasionally to avoid bloat and confusion. Clear out inactive friends. Make sure you have limit broken any servants or crash weapons you may have lying about. Take a moment to tag all your favorite servants and CEs for easy access, and then, put away the rest. We may have just gone a space upgrade, but that will fill up quick if you're not careful. You also might want to go see if you have any upgrades left in Da Vinci Shop. There's a lot of fiddly bits in FGO, and keeping on top of them will make your life a little bit easier in the long run.
Yep. Taking a little org time is always helpful.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, I totally forgot that you could actually tag favorites and have them move to the top no matter what, until, maybe a month ago.
Yeah, they call it select.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been doing that for a while, though sometimes I forget to add new servants to select.
Yeah, so, as I say, if you got something new that you really like, make sure you add them so you don't have to dig through, hundreds upon hundreds of entries just to find one.
And also remember, it's not just servants, it's also CEs, which can be very helpful to keep your primo stuff to the top. Especially those, 4 and 5 star CEs you don't have any extra copies of yet, so they're stuck at level 10 or 20.
Yeah.
So it's all very helpful. Well, so let's jump into Records from the Throne, and so forth. This is all me this week. He didn't write anything down.
Nope.
So Records from the Throne, a record achievement topic. I got John, regular, to Bond 10. This is my first Bond 10, everybody.
Huzzah!
I've been sticking her in the back row. Yeah, that's a lot of effort, but it makes sense. She was my first SSR, and has been with me since the start.
Yay.
So yay, did it. I got her useless ass Bond CE, because it's Team Buster up on John, making those Buster memes since the beginning. Well, not since the beginning. Bond CEs weren't actually a thing at start. They had to... after Bond 5, they had to, expand everybody's Bond out over the first years to go to 10 and add Bond CEs and all the extra goodies, but we got that from the start. So, yeah. Well, now, let's dig into the real, story time let's talk about not all the world's evils, but damn close. So my internet was down for a few days. That's why the episode is late. So this story begins on a Wednesday. This Wednesday, in fact. So I'm just, doing my thing, setting up some stuff, making some assets for some things for a video that I didn't do because I forgot to save them, and they were online. But anyway, I'm minding my own business, doing the stuff, and my mother comes home from work, and she's like, hey, is the internet still up? I'm like, yeah, I didn't notice anything wrong. She's like, okay, that's good, because when I came back, the cable line is down in the street, so there's a utility pole across the street, and then that runs phone and stuff, all that to us, and they were down in the road, which is not good.
Oh.
So she's like, okay, well, it stayed up, so we'll get somebody to put it back up. And then she comes to find out later that our next door neighbor has already called in, because that's also his internet cable line. And they're gonna, somebody's already been informed and they'll fix it. So I wake up Thursday, and the internet is down. And to me, I'm just like, oh, something must have happened and the cord on the ground got busted up. Well, there's nothing I can do about that or anybody else can do about that, because it's, everybody else in my family's at work, and I don't, I'm not the one paying for it, so it's not like I can call them and report an outage or anything. So I'm like, I'll just sit on it till, it'll just be till the afternoon everybody gets back. So, mother gets back, I let her know, hey, internet's out. Okay, well, I already did what Windows says to do, which is, your modem's having a problem, reset all that shit, and I did that already, and then that didn't fix anything. Sometimes it does, but not this time, for very good reasons that we will get to in a second. So I tell her, she says she's going to go downstairs and check it, because all her stuff's downstairs in our finished basement. Comes back up, 5-10 minutes later, and says that the line has been cut. Apparently, sometime Thursday morning, a repair crew showed up to fix the next door neighbor's problem and put the line back up, and they decided that our line was an extra line and hacked it off. So there was no internet line. She says, no, seriously, you gotta see this. So we go out there, and sure enough, on the pole, the line that goes, that it starts black, but it turns into a bright orange line that runs through the weeds towards our house, has been hacked off at the pole, and it's just gone. Great. So then, obviously, she calls it in and does all the stuff, and they say that, okay, we can be with you Saturday morning, maybe earlier if somebody cancels an appointment. Well, it's Saturday now, and no, apparently nobody did. It was fixed this morning, but that was 2 full days without internet access, because somebody was a dumbass. And unfortunately, I don't get up very early in the morning, otherwise I may have been sitting awake, and I probably couldn't have stopped anybody, but maybe it could have gotten reported quicker if I was sitting awake and my internet suddenly gets cut off and there's a truck outside and I could be like, hey, what you doing? But no, I didn't realize anything was a problem until I woke up. So yeah, it got fixed. I'm back. I managed to use cellular data to, get all my logins and stuff, so I didn't lose any streaks or anything. But it was a little rough. Spent a lot of time writing. Maybe we'll talk about that on WhatsApp. But yeah, fun story. Fun facts, kids. But yeah, so that's my story. That's why the show is late. I don't really have any other, because I did the Jean thing like way earlier in the week. I don't really have anything to do. I'm trying to catch up on quests now, because I lost a couple days. But them's the breaks. So, let's go ahead and move into the Skelograms. It's mostly JP news today.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it's a little old, but we'll cover it all, because who knows? I mean, unfortunately, Grand Order Wiki again is being slow, so they don't even have half this shit. I don't know, maybe the people making those pages lost their internet too. So, well, it happened. KYOMAF 2019. Still no sign of that banner, that version of our banner for us, by the way. Let's hope they can figure out what they're going to do with it. If they're just going to, push it off to Thanksgiving or something. I don't know. We'll have to see to figure it out. But they did the whole thing. There's going to be the banner and... the banner and celebrations. It started the 22nd, and it's running until October 6th. There's the KYOMAF special banner. It has Kintoki, Murasaki, and Summer Raiko on Raid Up. So Kintoki's coming back. Murasaki's getting her second Raid Up in a year, which is good.
Very good.
That's kind of what should happen for us with Hijikata, for instance, because he should get his second on whatever our equivalent to this is. And also, we're once again seeing, the return of a summer servant, randomly on a rando Raid Up, which is good. Because otherwise they are lost forever. Forever! Now, not that I need it, but, there hasn't been a weird rando Raid Up for, Mordred yet, but technically there was that millions downloads banner which brought all the Summer 1 servants back. But still, I'm wondering where they'll be able to find some of these weird entrances to squeak in a couple people. Like, Summer Nobu was pretty obvious. If they do another, like... Because for some reason, Nito and Oz are really big poster child characters for FGO. I don't know why. Actually, wait, no. Nito I can probably expect because her voice actress is super involved in, like, Caldea Radio and stuff. So that makes sense that they would, plaster her character everywhere so that her voice actors can keep showing up. But that could mean that a Summer Nito rate-up could randomly appear somewhere on, like, ooh, it's a Pharaoh-y thing. Stuff like that. So don't lose hope on your Summer Servants. They're going to come back randomly. Everybody got 10 Saint Quartz for this. It's, I believe if I understood this correctly, it's quarter AP on Lost Belts, which is good because the Halloween rerun will begin 10/11, the 11th of October, and it requires LB2 completion. So if you want that free Oni Cure, if you don't have her already, you need to do some work. Put some work in. Also, it was about this time on stream that Gilfez became Ishtar Fez because it was taken over by Space Ishtar. No, seriously, I think she's called Space Ishtar. The whole thing was a huge homage to Independence Day, which is great. Apparently, Nasu or somebody in the writing team is secretly Kojima and loves cheesy Western movies. Though, do recall, Kojima Productions and, at least I believe Delightworks are both somewhere in there. Aniplex, anyway, is owned by Sony, so you never know. Could get that crossover. Alright, that's everything about KYOMAF. So they also announced at this stream that they're doing a Babylonia Anime commemoration. It'll start the 2nd of October, but there's no, official news post, so I don't know when it ends. Basically, there was a Twitter campaign, which would result in 30 Saint Quartz and a free Babylonia-themed 4-star CE that has way blown past its limits. It was a 100,000 retweets and likes, I think, and it's at, 130k. Once again, showing you that the JP fanbase is super passionate about this shit. So, yeah. There will be a login campaign of 7 of various things, because Babylonia was Singularity 7. Including tickets at the end, but also, I think 70 prisms, 70k friend points, that kind of shit. Probably 7 gold EXPs, 7 gold apples. During this event period, all daily quests will be available every day, so no need to wait for a certain day to farm certain EXPs. You will get double FP on certain maps. They didn't specify which in the announcement, but I'm pretty sure it's Babylonia. There will be memorial quests themed after the Babylonia anime and new extra missions, which give up to 10 Saint Quartz. There's 10 missions and each gives you 1 quartz. Babylonia servants will get double suck rate, both great and super suck, and half AP interludes and rank ups. And there will be a summon banner, which will include Ishtar, Enkidu, Medusa Lancer, and Ushi. I don't know if we talked about that one already, but they announced it. So yeah, Ishtar's getting another raid up coming up. So obviously we are leaning heavily into Babylonia. Some people that asked about this, we're probably not going to get they could throw some quartz at us. We're not going to get any of the extra stuff for the commemoration early. It's much more likely that they might roll that into some certain stuff with Parvati and whatnot. But the CE exchange doesn't work for us. Some of those are from next year. Or even, I think, earlier this year. I don't know. So, yeah, that's not going to work out. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool that they're doing it. The CE exchange thing is pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, well, this is a perfect pivot into Caldea Free Talk. Because we're going to talk about the Babylonia anime. And some other stuff. So I think we already discussed that stateside, Aniplex has said that at least in LA, where they're headquartered, they're going to do a little premiere event. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's real neat.
Yeah.
But then it came out that, so you know how episode 0 was on Funimation Now for a while, and about a month later it showed up on Crunchyroll? Apparently that's a permanent arrangement. So it was announced that, on Funimation Now, the Babylonia anime will be simulcast, i.e. it'll be available the next day with subs on Funimation Now, with a 1-month exclusivity. So that means that, basically the episodes will come out a month later on Crunchyroll and possibly other services.
Yeah.
So, that has confused a lot of people, but we're here to illuminate some confusion. In case you didn't know, Big Papa Sony, Sony Pictures Television specifically, that division, bought up Funimation, or bought out the majority of it earlier this year, I think.
Yeah.
And basically, the Babylonia Anime is the franchise, they have decided to announce that they are rolling out a whole vertical integration type thing, where they have put, I believe, Manga Entertainment and some other European distributors and licensors of anime and manga under the Funimation brand, and basically Sony is like, Funimation is our official international releasing of anime and manga brand now. We are now releasing anime and stuff under Funimation. And so, because they own the whole thing, top to bottom, because I believe the studio doing the Babylonia Anime, was that Cloverworks?
Yes.
Okay, they spun off from Aniplex, right?
Yeah, Cloverworks spun off from A1.
From A1, okay, never mind. But I think they're all still owned by Sony is the thing I'm going for. And they're, Aniplex and stuff. So basically, it's Sony all the way down, which means they can just... There's not even, I think, a negotiation of, weird prices or anything. It's just Sony is here's our model. We're going to use our distributor that we own to distribute this exclusively for a month. Then we'll take your money to distribute it to other places.
Okay, so Cloverworks' parent company is Aniplex, which is owned by Sony.
Yeah, so it's basically at the top, Sony Pictures, and then below them, Aniplex, and then below them, Clover, and then below Sony Pictures, also Funimation. So, hey, welcome to the future. Sony owns all that shit, and, so yes, some people are a little confused about the announcement. I think the clarification that in case you didn't know, Sony owns a majority stake in Funimation, and is pushing it as a major part of their brand now, kind of explains some of that. So, yeah, now I want to say, we have no specific opinions or value judgments on what you choose to do with this information. If you're gonna wait for the month, if you're going to hoist the colors, whatever. I do want to remind everybody, though, voting with your wallet is a thing. If you don't like this sort of thing, if you don't like this arrangement that Sony has done, do not buy Funimation now and watch Babylonia. We're not saying you have to steal it then or anything, but don't do that, because that's sending a message in dollars, in real-world profits to Sony that this is okay, and they can keep doing it because people will pay them money. That's just a heads up, in case you're not thinking about it. Don't be like, oh, I'm so mad I have to buy this now. Then don't buy it. Suck it up. Because otherwise you're just giving them what they want and you're telling them it's okay. Now, if you're still like, well, I guess this means that Funimation now is a good value to me, that's okay. That's fine. I don't know much about Funimation's service. But it's a whole big weird thing. I think I read this in one of our YouTube comments, actually. The other day I found out that, I didn't even think about it, but Crunchyroll is actually owned by Warner Brothers, who also is now the parent company of Fullscreen and thus Rooster Teeth and stuff, which is why you may see Rooster Teeth and Crunchyroll shilling each other so hard, because they're owned by the same company. That may be why, now that Funimation is owned by Big Papa Sony, that may be why there's certain splits in the stuff going in and out of Crunchyroll. I don't know. It's a whole big, weird, complex thing.
It's a bunch of business and a bunch of deals that I don't understand.
Yeah, big money.
Big money.
But that's what's happening, and, that said, we are going to attempt somehow to watch Babylonia concurrently. We'll figure it out. I don't know if let's leave off details, because I don't want to implicate anybody in anything that may be weird, I don't want to, expose anybody to any identity theft danger.
But Luck is going to do some research into what actually Funimation is bringing to the table, on concurrently.
Well, I know they do I think they do simul dub of My Hero, which is also coming back this season.
Yeah.
Though I believe that is still subwise still being broadcast immediately, simulcast subs on Crunchyroll. But yeah, that said, we're gonna figure it out next week when it starts airing. But I'm warning you now, hey. Well, first of all, we've confirmed Babylonia is 21 episodes, which, by the way, when combined, if we count episode 0 as an episode, that's 22 total episodes, which is the same number of chapters that Babylonia has. Boom! Thus, I think it's very deliberate. But it's going to be 21 episodes, which is 2 cours, several months of anime. So, hey, if you were one of those guys who were like, I'm going to binge Case Files all at the end, don't talk about it, we're not doing that with Babylonia. That's way too much time lag. That is literally months. That will be next year before that finishes. That said, we will continue to do our usual policy, which is we will try to talk about anime at the very end of the episode and stuff. So that if you are not caught up or anything, you can always try and, slap back and just cut it off, which I know some people do. But it is not yet time for case files. First, we're about 20 minutes in. We'll faff a shitload in case files because the whole thing is done.
Yeah.
So we have collectivized thoughts.
Yeah.
But in that case, it's about time for Teach-Me Omega Sensei.
Well, do you have any last minute thoughts for
Babylonia?
Halloween?
Halloween.
No,
I have to catch up on some of my CQs. I haven't done the real CQ yet because I'm not through all the other CQs. I guess actually we should talk about the bug. That was a big deal that hopefully died off pretty quick. But I had real world problems to worry about, so it kind of blew past me in the last couple of days. But yes, there was a persistent bug in one of the challenge quests where you could not. It didn't work because it's Halloween 2 has the special restriction thing where it's like no kings, Western only, and apparently Western only was literally nobody for a while. So it was bugged and you couldn't do the quest. So it took them a while to solve. It took them about a 24-hour period, which upset people immensely. How dare those people in Japan 12 hours in the future not solve things in a timely manner for me.
How very dare.
And at the end, they gave us a couple apples, which honestly I think is fair. I know people like apologems, but it turns out they didn't have to turn the servers off to do it. So I think two apples, that's 2 AP refills, is a pretty good exchange for if you... Basically, for the AP regen, you would have missed not being able to do those quests.
Yeah,
it seems pretty fair, and people are always complaining about how we don't get enough apples in English anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't really have any final thoughts because I haven't done the special challenge quest or anything and wrapped up my farming, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it right now, in fact.
Same. Lucky as I was finally able to get through the damn story. I don't know why it took me so long. Don't ask questions. But I'm working my way through everything. I keep looking at the store, I'm like, what do I even want?
Yeah, I looked at some of the store stuff, I'm just like, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of low on this or that thing. Those are pretty hard to come by or you use a lot, but otherwise, it's like,
Yeah, I
also,
would have to say...
I have to let you know. I had to try very hard not to break out in a song that way when you said make your way through the story. Oh, fuck, this is no kings, I cannot use Saber, Alter, or Nero.
Rip.
Damn it, I'll use Lancelot. He's great.
So... Because I'm going to be honest, my mind is 110% on Shimosa and what was it called? The Great Battle at what?
Great Battle at Himeji Castle.
Himeji Castle.
Yeah, so... Good. Oh, I actually, considering the notes I had to take for today's Teach-Me Omega Sensei, I'm very curious to see, exposition-wise, about Shimosa and stuff.
As I said, an FGO, people always tend to get hype about new events, and they're literally just around the corner. I don't think we've had any announcements.
No, and actually, I could have, for safety, done Shimosa pregame today, but I wouldn't have got it done today because, the show was delayed. But let me actually double-check this. So we've got about 4 days left. Yes. So, let's see, what is that? When does that actually end? What date? Do some guerrilla math. Okay, so it ends the 2nd. That's a Wednesday. I could see them waiting until a Friday again, putting it off for the extra couple of days, like they did in JP.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could give us a week. I don't know. They might space it out and do the Parvati trial quest and stuff and other stuff banners for a week and then space it out. I don't know if the time works. I'd have to do some deeper analysis of the calendar than I really feel like doing right now. But yes, there are a couple of things that are around the corner, including Shimosa. We'll do Hell or High Water. We'll do Shimosa pregame next week. Because literally Hell or High Water will stop us. Also, your FGO sounds are coming over the mic a little bit.
I moved my mic around for streaming purposes the other day, so things are in a different position, so that might be why. But I muted it.
It's fine. I just letting you know. I don't know if the audience, leave a comment if you mind random FGO sounds in the episode. They probably don't. Though, I don't know. Technically, it was licensed music from Prisma, but technically we've gotten in trouble for using FGO's actual in-game music before. But anyway. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on Halloween. You got anything else to say in there?
No. Not really. Well, I guess I should say I'm trying to I did take a quick peek at the great Halloween 3, I guess I want to call it. Events servant guide. So now I'm trying to level up Cleo to get her, which is on point for this event as well, but God, I always forget how much it takes to level up SSRs. I mean, I spent 120 gold embers, and she's level 60. I'm just like, girl.
Yeah, they're thirsty for those embers. It takes a while. Takes some effort.
It does. Because I was hoping to get Cleo and Extra Vlad done, and I'm just like, I don't even know if I'm gonna get Cleo done. Again, though, I guess if I'm gonna talk about Halloween, it's Halloween is one of those events that, as fucking annoying as Liz is, she's kind of a complicated character and shouldn't necessarily just be tossed to a corner like some people like to do. I know there's quite a few people who don't actually like Liz. I'm just all
yeah, some people are very, very, very dismissive of Liz. And now some of that is because in CCC she is a complete trash person, but that's the point. In fact, lots of people in CCC are kind of shitty. That's why there's a whole dive into their psyche and unfuck their brains aspect.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know some people are like, this, hashtag not my Elizabeth Bathory, but that's why Carmilla exists. There's 2 Carmillas now.
And the thing is they are actually, they actively deny each other's existence.
Yeah.
It's another one of those layers.
Heck, I think in summer 4? That's how many summers there are? God, there's too many summers. I think Summer Carmilla in a quest literally gets in her Ferrari and runs over all the other Lizzes. Which is hilarious, but yes.
But actually, what's something that I actually need to research and look into, because I didn't know off the top of my head, is I know that Vlad Tepes and Elizabeth Bathory had a history, but I don't actually know what that history is together.
They're distantly related?
Yeah.
I believe she's a descendant. They were not concurrent, I don't believe.
Yeah, but Extra Vlad is talking about how Liz did a disservice to his wife, and he'll never forgive her for that. And I'm just like, what did she actually do? So I'm curious, because Fate has this interesting thing of all right, deepest lore, but also fictional lore, and it's kind of hard sometimes to tell which. Well, yeah,
we had this discussion about something the other day. I don't remember what, but it was about some characters, because it's about pop cultural impressions of a character are more important to. I
could have been talking about my eternal gripe with Abe no Senmei and Abe no Yashike.
Oh, that was one of them, yeah, because even though we've talked about this, timeline-wise, it doesn't matter, because that's just how it was still attributed. That's how Nasu wrote it, because that's the more famous version. There's also a couple of things, some characters aren't famous until other stuff happened. Like I mentioned, Salome as a character in FGO is completely taken from the much later play of the same title, because she wasn't even a character in the original Bible work. She wasn't even named.
Mm-hmm.
So all stuff like that is drawn from.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, first of all, Vlad 3 Dracula, aka Vlad the Impaler and Vlad Dracula, is from the 1400s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the early 1400s, and Elizabeth Bathory was born in the late 1500s.
Yeah, so it's almost a century between them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it was
just skimming Wikipedia, I don't see anything else about Vlad besides just her association, but who knows?
Maybe it was something in extra then.
It could be, I don't know, there could be something to do with the vampire, association. But
maybe.
Who knows?
Do we have a deepest lore emote yet?
Well, we turned the Nasu thing into plot. And I do also have the one where Gramps reads a book, and he's just like, what am I reading?
I need a deepest lore fucking emote.
Yeah, I held like a mini contest for that, but not much came out of it. We managed to translate Nasu's avatar, but that doesn't really... That's way too excited for deepest lore. That's just like, this is the plot. Fucking little mushroom. But, okay.
Little mushroom.
But yeah, so, I don't know. I like Liz. I've never not liked Liz. And I can understand and appreciate Carmilla too. Like, that I think is one thing, is some people, naming no names, but some people are too attached to quote-unquote facts about characters, historical or fictional, which doesn't work because everything is subjective. Like, it's entirely possible that the entire Elizabeth Bathory thing could be a lie. That could have just been some assholes who wanted her matron. We don't know. We only have what was recorded, so... And then, obviously, people are like, but also, holy shit, she, bathed in the blood of virgins, and she used an Iron Maiden, even though the Iron Maiden is apocryphal, in case you didn't know that. Like, despite the fact that that's Carmilla's NP, that's once again showing you how heroic spirits work. That is inappropriate to the time and place she was in. Like, I don't think it was popularized until much later. There's a similar thing with Gilles, who is synchronized with Bluebeard, but also is not. So it's like, there's a lot of these things in there, and yeah, I know, you want to go hashtag not my Liz, but whatever. Nasu actually came up with an interesting critical examination of a character, and if you really want her to be a bloodthirsty psychopath, pray for that extra CCC remaster. Join me in prayer, because that's the only place you're going to find it. Though, Extella Liz, or at least, regular Extella, not so much in Link, because that's something that we don't understand at all.
No!
I still need to play more Link, but even then, it's just like, what the fuck, Liz, why are you here, and why are you normal? But Liz in Extella does a very interesting thing where she flips back and forth between trying to be a nice person and then letting her monsterism come out, which Tamo specifically comments on. She's like, oh, I thought of Elizabeth as an existence similar to myself, so I thought I would have to, like, be strict with her, even though it doesn't really work out too much. But yeah, alright, that was our Liz thoughts. We are now at over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, speaking of fucking with time and space, let's talk about what a singularity is. So this is the winner of our Teach-Me Omega Sensei poll for this month. We do this every month. Patrons at the $5 and up, that's our silver level, can vote in the poll. So, if you want to be in the next poll that will be in next month, sign up. I'll talk about what options we have left, and also ask for suggestions at the end. But yeah, let's talk about what the singularities are, because that's a whole big thing. And this is honestly a multi-part topic. Some people have asked me about singularities, some people have asked me about what the heck is going on with Epic of Remnant, so I kind of bundle them all together to be like, okay, here's what this is supposed to be, because some of the data on this is kind of stretched out over multiple singularities worth of exposition, which means it's easy to forget some of the details. Because some of this stuff does come up in-game, but it comes up way at the beginning when you're doing the prologue Fuyuki, and then some of it's not clear until way, way, way later down the line, like Babylonia or Time Temple Solomon. So yeah, let's cover the whole thing. So, a singularity is a region of space-time which is unobservable to Chaldeus, and that's the giant globe thing in the center that the security organization is named after. It's the globe thing. So it's effectively a hole in the timeline. So Chaldeus observes the past constantly and keeps a record of the timeline preserved. So it can theoretically look anywhere in the past at any point and be like, this is what's going on in the globe. So a singularity is a spot that's like, I can't see shit.
Oh no!
This is roughly in line with the mathematical or physical science definition of a singularity, a point at which a function takes an infinite value, especially in spacetime when matter is infinitely dense, as at the center of a black hole. So, basically a singularity, a point that is mathematically infinite, which distorts all things around it. So, because of distortions, these are distortions in the timeline, they can spread and grow through history, propagating like a wave, disrupting the human order foundation. We're going to reference a lot of concepts to do with human order and the timeline and pruning and stuff, so I'm not going to reiterate all that. Go back and check out our episode on that subject. I did a whole Teach-Me Omega Sensei about how the fuck timelines work. I don't remember exactly which one that is, but there is a Teach-Me Omega Sensei playlist, which you can skim through to find the right one. It'll probably have some kitschy, clever title that references the topic. So, these big singularities can also cause smaller, less disruptive singularities form, such as where we usually go on events. Those events are smaller singularities which form because other singularities are warping the timeline weirdly. There are also multiple mobile singularities which are even smaller and can move through timelines. This includes Musashi, who is called a slider, because Nasu is a huge nerd, so she is kind of a weird disruption in space-time that moves through timelines. Possibly because her mystic eye is weird and good. Musashi is super cool, guys. You should buy her book. You like Musashi. Deepest lore. Deepest lore. So, here's where we get into the spoilery parts of the territory. But the original singularities of Part 1 are created as part of Getia's plan to incinerate the human order, and thus all share a similar structure and mechanics. 1. They are created and sustained by a holy grail that was created by Getia, which is given to an individual in the time period to cause disruption to the natural order of things. Check. If the grail is not enough, a demon god host may directly intervene, manipulating individuals or events and creating boss fights. So, did the pillar actually emerge in... Did we fight a pillar? I don't think we fought a pillar in Orleans, did we? No, I don't think he had to. There was no need for a pillar guy. It was just Gilles and John Alter. But there was a pillar in Septum, that was Lev. There was a pillar in Okeanos, and in London. And lots and lots of pillars in America. And Oz took over the pillar in Camelot. And there were, once again, no pillars in Babylonia, because they didn't need that interference.
Nope.
So, the presence of the Grail, which creates and sustains the Singularity, which I believe is how we avoid the whole self-correcting timeline problem, because the counterforce and the, pruning phenomena and all that normally would just be like, oh, this is a weird fucked up timeline, let's just cut that all out. Or they will just, if you, for instance, severed a chunk of the timeline would basically regrow between 2 points, between 2 quantum time locks, because it knows what the beginning and the end of the resulting time is, basically. So the Grail prevents that from happening until the timeline can just completely fall apart and human order can be incinerated. But the presence of the Grail naturally attracts heroic spirits who are summoned without a master and without a normal summoning ritual. They just appear in the Singularity and can be part of its disrupting effects or its resolving effects, basically. There's no rules on what the heroic spirits do when they show up as quote-unquote servants, but they show up, because there's a holy grail and stuff. And time's fucked. So, because Getia has placed these grails and thus the singularities at key points in human history, each major singularity is given a human order foundation value. You've seen these C, A+, EX, whatever. Those are all basically how important this is supposed to be for us to arrive at the future time of the present and, have human order be safe. And that's part of, Caldea's whole organizational factor.
Mm-hmm.
So smaller singularities can have their own mechanics and circumstances of formation and disruption. This is why events can be so varied in their rules and settings, etc. So basically, events are like small singularities that form at more specific points. They're not necessarily connected to the overall plan to destroy human order, which means they can be weird and messed up. Like the Prisma collab, which involved, a magical girl setting thing, or the various weirdness of the Gouda Goudas, etc.
Isn't it usually explained, though, that if these things are left alone, they could usually spiral out of control?
Yes, they can still grow, and a lot of them, because you get Holy Grails in them, a lot of them have the Holy Grail in them as a mechanic, just as part of something. Though sometimes they are formed because somebody who is not Getia nicked a Holy Grail and did stuff. That's how our original Halloween happened, for instance, was Liz stole a Holy Grail as a Halloween cup and decided to, wish for her perfect castle, however the heck you say that in Hungarian. I'm not going to try. There's a C, a J, and a Z in there. Don't even know. But yeah, so that's something that happens sometimes. The second Guda Guda was caused by Nobukatsu teaming up with a demon pillar, for instance. But just in general, smaller singularities are weirder and less specific. They don't necessarily follow the exact same game plan as the Big Seven, and also technically Fuyuki. But Fuyuki was also a little one. That was technically the First Order, not the Grand Order. It's a whole thing. Which we're going to talk about now, actually. So, the whole purpose of the Chaldea Security Organization is to preserve the future of humanity. They're there to protect the future, which also includes the present. So they must eliminate singularities which can cause the collapse of human order. Theoretically, any singularity can do this, as Lucky mentioned. It's just Gitia's ones were the big ones, because they're part of a systemic plan to completely fuck over human order, and thus lead to the incineration of humanity. To do this, they use the ray shift system, which, I don't know, that's really technical. I don't think we need a whole exposition on it. It would be like 2 bullet points that I just don't want to get into. But basically, ray shift is a plot thing you do to project plot back into the past so you can fix the plot. Got it? Got it. So, because you can't normally interfere with the singularity because they're closed off, you basically have to physically project time travelers across time and space in it in order to do stuff. Chaldea's primary goal in a singularity is to A, remove the distortions from history, and B, recover the Holy Grail sustaining it so human order can sort itself out. If you recover the Grail and you stop whatever's fucking up history, the singularity collapses, time goes back to normal. As it says in my next bullet point. When it's done, the singularity collapses, history goes back to the correct pattern. Since bringing people back to life is a whole thing, living humans who die in the singularity are still dead, but their cause of death is recorded correctly by history and the timeline moves swiftly on. So, if, at least my understanding of both Orleans and Babylonia, if a horrible wyvern eats a villager in a singularity, that villager is dead. He is recorded as having died in that time period in history. But, because rampaging wyverns is not part of the correct human history, that part gets smudged over, and he dies of a much more normal plague, rake accident, trampled by a horse, the usual things. And thus, history as a whole moves swiftly on, and everything is corrected.
Life goes on. And
so, the mission of Part 1 is named Grand Order after the highest law of Magi because it's so important. That's why your good buddy, the doctor, is like, yo, this is a Grand Order now. Which is basically the highest level of order is, hey, you gotta recover all the Grails and unfuck all the singularities so humanity is not incinerated. So yeah. Fun fact, the original Grand Order is involved in FGO as well. So the highest law of Magi Grand Order refers to a rule of Magi who carry a magic crest. It's basically a compulsion that prevents them from destroying themselves, such as by suicide. This is actually a curse created by Gitia, so that the bloodlines of Magi who will become the demon god pillars survive until his master plan is ready. That's right, that's how far in advance this motherfucker plans. So, mages don't even realize this, but yes, the reason why magic crests have this kind of anti-destruction protection is because Gitia was like, and to make sure none of them can fuck up my plans by dying too early, I will make sure they can't destroy themselves. Because Gitia is a motherfucker. Also, this is actually somebody, we were talking about, like, how you came to join the organization.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I think it's actually plot important that you're a quote-unquote third-rate mage. Like, the fact that you suck as a mage just means that you're not from a major mage family and thus are not a demon god host. So, yeah. I don't think we ever have to worry about turning into a demon god pillar. It's actually a plot point. Deepest lore. Boom.
This is why we need an emo!
That said, even after Gatia's defeat, singularities can still occur. They are still a thing that happens. So this explains why events keep happening. But some of these are also created by demon pillars who escape the destruction of Time Temple Solomon. They share similar mechanics to Gatia's singularities, like usually there's grails and stuff in them, and there's the various things. But they're not placed at specific points to disrupt the human order, but are more connected to whatever the demon god's goals are, since they are now individuated. That's one of the big things that happened when Solomon did the thing and returned his rings and went back into heaven, was the Gatia started to collapse as a singular entity, so all the demon gods became individuals. They have their own individual motivations and goals. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but the demon pillar from Shinjuku had the goal to kill you, basically revenge. The pillar from Agartha had the mission to basically destroy the Throne of Heroes. It was also revenge, kind of, but it was also kind of a I don't want to die anymore thing.
Yeah.
So basically they would paradox themselves and everything out of existence. Poor Zippar. I'm pretty sure Zippar's plan was to start the incineration or unity of humanity over again, but he fucked up real bad when he chose Kiara as his host.
Ooh.
So his plan worked too well.
Oh man, a woman who can seduce even a demon god. Ugh.
Yeah. And there may be future pillars and future things. Ugh. But yeah.
Future!
This is the basis of Epic of Remnant. The sub-singularities are singularities that, you'll note, have no human order foundation value. They are not actually important to the protection of human order. Theoretically, they could go away on their own. But, like for instance, if the Shinjuku plan succeeded and an asteroid struck the Earth and it was destroyed, that timeline would be discarded. Clearly that is not the correct timeline.
This goes back to the theories of quantum time lock and whatnot.
Yeah. So basically, it would accomplish nothing in the long term, except if your ray shifted there to solve the singularity, because that is still Caldea's goal, to investigate and correct singularities, because they can cause problems with the time stuff. And you're basically time cops.
Time cop!
Excuse me, got a little burpee there. But the plan would succeed in killing you. Whatever his face is from Agartha, technically, while his plan wouldn't destroy the human order, it would have completely fucked over Mystery. Which would have done some bad stuff to the timeline, but also wouldn't have, destroyed humans. So it's a whole thing. Zippar was trying to fuck us over, but like we said, that backfired a little bit. But yeah, so sub-singularities are basically like that. They are a singularity. They are connected to the Gatia incident, the part 1. Yeah, I think I can say the part 1 name. It's not a spoiler. They just didn't decide it had a real name until Lost Belt came out. But part 1 is called Observer on Timeless Temple. So the Observer on Timeless Temple case is over, but these sub-singularities are linked to it. They're remnants of that case, an echo, and we've solved them. We're going to solve crimes.
Time cops!
Time cops solving crimes! This is why Waiver is so fun. Though I think the Case Files collab is also technically counted as a singularity. So that'll be fun. Time cops! We'll leave what is a Lost Belt for another time, because that hasn't happened until the end of this year. But be assured that will be an option as soon as that starts up, because some people are going to be confused.
Probably this guy.
Well, I don't know. We'll see, because I believe they drop it's not quite to the level of Fuyuki, but part 2 does have a prologue, which is a lead up to what happens that's playable. So hopefully there's some decent exposition about all the stuff in there that's just not been properly translated out. But we'll get there.
Yeah, because they have the part 2 prologue and the OVA, what was it?
Moonlight Lost Room. Which I don't believe has been officially released in English yet. Because obviously spoilers.
Spoilers!
Hopefully that will be properly displayed, but also maybe will be exclusive on Funimation for a while. Who knows?
Oh god.
Integration. I mean, theoretically it's been out there on the Witchcraft waves for almost 2 years now? Yeah, because it would have come out right as part 2 started. Shit. Wow, goddamn. Time flies, kids. But yeah, that's been out there for a while. But we'll see. And we'll see what they do this year, too. Because, let's see. This year was... The anime special was Case Files 0, I think. And also the Learning with Manga inserts, obviously.
Oh yeah, the year before that was Today's Menu with Emiya Family.
Yeah, and then the Lost Room. And then the year before that, I believe, was First Order. Which we already have in English and stuff, if you want.
Yeah.
Which I believe First Order is considered canon to the Babylonia anime. I'm not sure. They reference that time period anyway, but we'll see. We'll see when the show actually starts airing, because Zero is very much set up. Adorable setup, but still. Okay, so really quick, the 2 topics for next month, and we're open to more suggestions, as always, if you have Fate-themed, it doesn't necessarily have to be straight FGO, but Fate-themed lore questions you want us to answer, we can get into it. Somebody asked in the chat also about, we moved, we started in France, but then we went back to Septum, but Rome was before that. Yeah, we also did that. We went way back to Babylonia at the end. The time locations of the Singularities is not constant. These are just all major points, and then I believe the basic idea is that the more the Foundation value, the harder it was for us to lock them down and find them, which is why there's so much in-game time gaps between story releases. Was we had to lock down the location and correctly identify them and figure out where they were so that we could ray shift there safely. Because there's a lot of Quanto shenanigans in ray shifting. Like, you have to be observed so the counterforce doesn't eat you. And just be like, whoa, you're not supposed to be in this timeline, get the fuck out.
Get the hints.
So that's why they always talk about your life signs being observed and your existence being verified by Chaldea. It's someone literally has to look at a screen and be like, yep, you still exist in this timeline, you're fine. So our 2 topics are, what do I know about Grand Servants and what is the Moon Cell? Because we had a previous topic, which was what the fuck happened in CCC, which explained a little bit about the Moon Cell, but we haven't gone full deep on what the Moon Cell Automata actually is, which some people may be relevant, because that was, 2 PSP games, and then also Extella, but Extella really plays fast and loose with the, you should know what the fuck all this stuff is.
I was like, we are now post-extra. It's time to rule.
You won a Holy Grail war in the Moon Cell Automaton, which is so advanced that we call it the Holy Grail. Welcome to Seraph, an infinite world of Spiritrons. We're not going to explain what those are. You're a wizard, which means you are a magic computer hacker. And I'm like, okay, cool. Gonna stop all the download. Gotta hack the Gibson. Hacker man. So yeah, those are our 2 options, and like I said, we are always open to more suggestions. And you don't have to be a patron to suggest a question. We take those from anybody. If you've got a question, most of these come from that sort of stuff. Like, somebody asked me, hey, can you talk about Moon Cell? Somebody asked me about, specifically it was originally about SubSingularities, I think, like I said, but I decided, you know what, we've never actually dissected what the heck a singularity is supposed to be, so let's look at it. This one was shorter, but hopefully it was informative, cleared up any questions you may have.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I was double-checking this research and stuff, I was like, so some of this stuff is said way back in Fuyuki, some of this stuff isn't clear until, way the fuck later. So I could see how over the course of, a year and a half? Yeah. You might forget some of these details if you have been playing since the beginning. And then, if you're playing later, even with all the story unlocked, God knows what pace you're doing some of these, because I gotta be honest, the difficulty curve seems like sometimes it's not made for you to go straight from Fuyuki to Time Temple right away. There's some learning curve involved there. But alright, let's see. What's our mission clock? We are at just under an hour. So, I think this is a good time to issue the official case files cutoff warning. We're going to talk about case files now. Alright, have they left? Is everybody gone? Okay. So, because of the internet thing, I was busy with other stuff, and I didn't catch up on last week's either until today, but luckily, 13 also came out today. So I watched both of them back-to-back just before we recorded.
Oh, yeah.
And lucky, you also watched 13 just earlier. Well, obviously, today it came out, but you watched it not too long ago.
Yeah.
So 12. We started 12. Goddamn, 12 was really good.
That's what everyone was saying.
Yeah. I'll talk a little bit more how that leads into 13, but yeah, 12 is really good. So, we said last time that 11 kind of ends on a weird cliffhanger, probably for suspense reasons. I would agree with that because they are immediately cleared up in this, because Waiver is like, it was you, Cowles. Only you're not really Cowles, because here's the real Cowles.
And they're like, gasp. Yeah,
in perfect detective fashion, Waiver was on top of the game the entire time and double reversed it. Adashino was still a little bit sus, but he reveals that she was working with them. So part of it was an act. And so on and so forth. So basically, we get the big reveal. Everybody's in the room. Waiver drops the exposition. the culprit was the fake Cowles. So that Cowles you thought the entire time on the train was a fake one. He was under disguise. But it turns out that he was Dr. Heartless, the previous Lord head of the Modern Magecraft Department, who mysteriously disappeared. Only it turns out it wasn't so mysterious because he teamed up with everybody's favorite dad, Marsbury. Marsbury? Marsbilly? The subtitles weren't sure what to call his name either. I like Marsbury, but...
Yeah, I like how they actually... Marsbilly, I'm like, that doesn't sound
Marsbilly. Well, I felt like Olga Mary put a pause in there, but still. Who knows? It's... Natsu names are weird, and the Animesphere names have never been easy. We'll speak some more about Animesphere stuff in a second. But yes, so it's like, boom, bomb dropped. So he was the guy who controlled Frampton the whole time. Frampton was not the perpetrator, he was the murder weapon. And basically, Dr. Heartless was gathering up mystic eyes because he was trying to figure out shit about the Holy Grail. So he and Marsbury investigated the Greater Grail, and Marsbury came to the conclusion that, at least in this timeline, the Greater Grail is not the omnipotent wish granter he wants. Because somebody spilled some angry mango in it. Anyway. So he gave up on that part of his dream and is very sad about stuff. But we know in another timeline, he was an all-pro Holy Grail Warster and summoned fucking Solomon and won, and then wished for loads of money. But yeah, so Dr. Heartless, though, didn't give up. He decided instead to construct an elaborate plan to do stuff, the exact details of which are not necessarily elaborated because, spoiler warning, the whole series ends on kind of an open end because the fucking light novel didn't finish with this story arc.
Nope. So,
there's a little bit of open ending in the denouement, but what exactly Dr. Heartless is doing, or wants to do with all this stuff, heroic spirit summoning, creating his own lesser grail, apparently, which is more akin to the grails we keep finding in FGO, for instance, that people just make. That's not 100% clear, because the moment he's caught, he summons Faker, who kicks the shit out of Adashino, takes her out of the fight so he can get free. Oh, though we should mention that although she does absolutely nothing, Renes also joined the real Kalas, and they traveled via Toko Travel, which I'm sure is, I'm gonna guess, probably a Mahosukai reference, because there's a room, I think.
It looks like they got launched, if by the swirling clouds was any indication.
Yeah, they got launched at what Shishigo says was about Mach 1, but it looked like they were riding a broom, so I'm like, is that a witch thing? I don't know. Or it could be a Tsukihime thing. I don't know. It's covered in one of the areas not yet explored in mass media, because nobody talks about the Tsukihime anime. In fact, I would expect there will probably be between 5 to 10 comments which will be, what Tsukihime anime?
You've been preemptively called out.
But yeah, so they shoot to the scene. Renes does nothing but hand Waiver files, I guess. But Waiver also continues his exposition bomb. And so he's like, well, yeah, Dr. Heartless calls him out on the why done it, I think, and Waiver's just like, it doesn't matter, you already did the thing. The whole thing is, this is just an echo. This is just what's left over of the case you already did in the past. So this is basically the next part of your plan that already happened, which is, gathering all the mystic eyes so he could learn stuff. So he completely explains everything. Dr. Heartless summoned the children of Einash. I don't know if Dr. Heartless is supposed to be a dead apostle, aka a vampire. I don't think that's explicitly stated anywhere, but he definitely has some kind of connection to them because he can summon the forest through magic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he stopped the train. He backed Yvette. So Yvette was a double agent the whole time, but her family collects mystic eyes, so she's like, hey, could you blame me? He said we could splitsies the mystic eyes, and he would give me the money. Also, I think this was an anime-only detail, but Waiver basically pointed out how Dr. Heartless was behind all the other shit that happened in the earlier episodes, tying everything together, even though they made most of that stuff up for the anime, but still, they made it relevant, the whole thing, which was good. Good tie-in. So it makes it so that wasn't just set up to establish characters that actually mattered. and then he summoned the servant because he was the only one who could steal the relic, and was basically behind everything. And he only gave himself away when he healed Waiver, because Dr. Heartless said it would be troublesome if Waiver died. Which I believe Waiver posited because he was a living master, and I believe at this point Kirei is still alive, but I don't know if anybody would know that. But Waiver is, I believe, at this point by 04, the only other living master left from Holy Grail War 4, because Kiritsugu has died since then. So, there's something, they do the whole zoom in on his gloved hand, and you see the command seals, etc. They do a whole thing. So, the train team is a little bit like, oh, so you arranged everything to endanger the train and fuck over the auction. You're kicked out now.
Get thee hence.
But then he summons Faker, and Waiver drops the whole exposition bomb on her. He's like, so, I was thinking about it, and I thought about some important things. Clearly, you are not the real Hephaestion, because Hephaestion was a dude. But you are also obviously of a description, and Ren actually has an important point where, when he says that, clearly you, Hephaestion, were a body double for Iskandar, Ren is like, whoa, hold up. Waiver, didn't you tell me that Iskandar was a giant with red hair? Wasn't he super swole? And the obvious conclusion is, how does this smoking hot babe pretend to be that dude? And then Waiver is like, well, according to history, Iskandar had heterochromia and was slight and of dark hair. Which, I guess they're saying that Hephaestion and/or Faker were pretending to be Alexander in public more, because even little Alexander in FGO is, he's small, but he's red-haired. So, I don't know exactly what we're going for here. It may just also have been that, the FGO design team didn't speak with the case files guy about what was his plot points. Who knows? But yeah, so basically he's like, you didn't even have a fucking name. You literally don't exist in history because you were only there to be a body double. So, you are a fake heroic spirit in a fake class summoned for a fake war. And then Dr. Heartless is like, yes, that is why I've called this class Faker. Which in reality, I'm sure is just for the memes, but still. It does kind of work. And actually, honestly, I've been thinking about this, like, especially where heroic spirits are concerned. I feel like Faker as a class is way more applicable than Assassin sometimes, because we do weird stuff with the Assassin class.
Yeah.
I feel like the idea of just, like, people pretending to be heroes, or people who are famous for pretending to be other people, could be way more explored, but, whatever. Nasu also literally based the original Assassins on the actual Hasashin, so it got a little muddled over time. That said, despite everything, Faker is still super hot and super cool, so Faker win. You've done dumber servants and classes, FGO. Help a brother out.
I don't know, we're gonna fuck up this class relationship more? I don't know, I guess it could, Faker could be strong against fucking, the knight classes?
Yeah, it could be, because it's pretending to be someone.
Yeah.
Or they could do other weird
because
things. I don't know.
Because it could technically be considered the opposite of an alter ego.
Yeah. Because alter ego is a self that somebody spun off from the original. Faker is a non-original pretending to be an original, basically.
Yeah. I can see that.
You could also do it like that if you wanted to be simpler, but I think that it could be more fun if they did more stuff with her. Also, poor Faker. Apparently being a Faker makes you a really shitty heroic servant, heroic spirit, or servant container, because she does get dunked on a little bit in this episode. Like, okay, she's still super, super strong, with her super strong kicks, but, she fights Gray and Karabo later, who gets his eyes back. That, like, she's getting her ass beat by humans, basically.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a little sad, but, whatever. But basically, she shows up, Oh, actually, I forgot to mention, the reason why she shows up is because Dr. Heartless does the thing. By order, the thing that I think nobody was expecting, but he's like, by order of this command seal, appear. So he spent a spell to summon his servant, which was kind of fun. And basically he reveals that his master plan was he basically linked the train, because that's a weird pseudo-vampire underworld thing, with the forest, which is another pseudo-weird vampire thing. And then he's trying to link their ley lines together to the ley line in Fuyuki, which is hooked into the greater Grail to create a lesser Grail. To really create a fresh Holy Grail war, basically. It sounds like he's trying to do basically his own version of what happened in Apocrypha, where they just stole the greater Grail, where he's trying to create a new greater Grail that will actually grant wishes and not fuck everything up. But, so basically, Dr. Heartless, who really has an interesting, smooth way of speaking.
He does.
It's because they say fairy stole his heart.
He's very neutral all the time.
He's very middle of the road, which is good. He doesn't emote too much, but he's never really mad or sad. He's just like, oh, okay.
This is how things are.
So business, he's like, hey, train people. We could fight right here, but that'd fuck up all your mystic guys. So if you open the door, open the roof, the skylight, and they're like, okay, fine. The conductor is also a very neutral man.
I mean, they're all aren't they all monsters? They're all whatever.
Yeah, something like that. But Blindfold Lady is a little more emotive. Because she's the one who's like, oh, so you fucked this up. You're kicked out now, sir. But they open the thing, they jump onto the top of the train, Waiver pops out with Gray, and he's like, so first Dr. Heartless is like, oh, what do you want? Why? I'd really prefer to just run away now. And Waver's like, you need to give me back my fucking relic, nerd. And shockingly, Dr. Heartless is just like, okay. throws it to him across the train. There's not even a dramatic neener, I'm gonna throw it off the train or anything. He just tosses it back and Waiver catches it. And then Waver's like, sick, cool, I'm complete again. I'm gonna fuck your shit up now. I'm gonna case files the shit out of you. So he continues to psychoanalyze Faker, because it obviously really bothers her, but I think it's really been eating at Waiver. How could there be someone who was so close to Iskandar? And apparently they really were close, because, obviously she was pretending to be him a lot, but Iskandar was like, yo, you need a name, and she's like, no, I don't need a name. If I'm you, then I suck up all your curses and stuff. Which is an actual thing. That's why, private names are a whole big deal. That's very historically accurate. And she reveals that she was Hephaestion's twin sister who was supposed to be sacrificed to the gods, but apparently that just means you have no name and you are not yourself now. But whatever. But it's really bugging Waiver why she's not in the Ioni. And so he guesses correctly that the reason why she is not summoned as part of the army was because she was upset about the army. She didn't like how things turned out. Which Waiver continues to provoke her by quoting Iskandar from Zero and being like, he was so disappointed the world was round. There's no ocean at the end of it, but he still had a hearty chuckle. And he basically baits her into attacking him, because it's like, yeah, I understand you completely. And she's like, I don't be understood by you, nerd. I'm gonna stab you. And Dr. Heartless is... It's interesting. Dr. Heartless is like, oh, Faker, I really wish you didn't do that. But you'll notice he doesn't spend a command spell on it. He has the power to give her an undelible order, and in various versions of Fate's Stay Night, Rin does, for instance. She orders Archer not to attack Shiro, and spends a spell on it. So, he could have wiggled out of that earlier if he really wanted to. He's a mysterious man, Dr. Heartless. In case you guys didn't pick up on that.
He's kind of meh.
It's kind of eh. So they get to fighting, so Hephaestion, but he does care Axe. He said he cared earlier, so it's weird. He, obviously something is he has goals or plans that Waiver can meet later, but also, obviously, there's a certain amount of testing, I think, too. He's actually trying to figure out how good Waiver is. But anyway, Faker tries to attack Waiver. Gray repels her with Ad as a shield, and she's like, dude, she's like, boss, you should just tell this chick whatever you want to tell her, full blast. No, because Faker is a whole new class. She's Faker. Remember, this is Fate Axe. They can just make up new class containers if they want. That happens all the time. It's crazy and dumb, but it happens. She's a Faker right now. It would be a funny joke, though, if later they did actually make Faker as a writer. They'd have to come up with a different name, though. Because Gray is an assassin. Gray also earns her chops as a future welfare servant here, I think. Well, future for us, past in JP. Because she can go toe-to-toe with servants if she feels like it. But so Waiver confronts Dr. Heartless, and he's like, okay, I gotta bring you in now. And Dr. Heartless is like, nah, dude.
Nah. I'm out.
Overturn my heart, which is apparently his magic key phrase, and he just... First of all, in a super interesting visual, he summons, I assume basically because they mentioned that the child of Einash, the forest, is like a reality marble, so I assume that's what he does, is activate the thaumaturgy and summon the reality marble, which forms a really weird tree face mouth thing in the sky. And
it was very Cosmic Horror-ish.
Yeah. And it summons all the tree branches, which stops the train, and then Hephaestion is in the Faker's in the trees. I'm getting it's a little hard to switch back because I was deliberately avoid calling her Faker for a long time. Because obviously, because we discussed about this with class stuff, I knew that was a class. But I didn't want to give it away until the end. So it seems like they're disadvantaged because there's all these tree branches, but then Karabo comes out and he's like, the action's off, bitch, I got my eyes back. And now that he understands how to use his eyes for murder, he's really good at it.
I'm gonna cut you just by looking at you.
Well, basically the way it works is, Waiver explains it, so long as a slash happened, his eyes record it and can basically play it back. So long as you enter the area where a slash occurred, his eyes can make it come back, which is really rad. So he dunks on Faker a lot, as she gets less clothed. There's Ascension number 2, kids.
Oh, yeah.
Also breaks her weird sword thing. And, reduces her power before he decides to take out Dr. Heartless because he's mad about being used as a murder weapon. And he's pretty good at cutting up the tree branches and stuff, but... Oh, actually, I should mention really quick, the thing that allowed Waiver to escape after, Faker tried to attack him the first time was Real Callous showed up and used Created Tree, to temporarily bind her until she used her own skills or NP or whatever to shoot red lightning back at him and took him out of the fight. He had to go take a nap. But, yeah, he created a tree of lightning.
Like Blasted Tree.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Fran reference. Don't ask me how he knows that in this timeline. I don't even know. It's a reference, okay? It's meta.
Yeah, that's the thing. The anime definitely pulls in a lot of characters from other source materials. Like, this is the thing. I actually don't know, how different things are in the light novel, but they almost kind of rewrit, entire sections of this plot for the anime. So I'm just like,
Yeah, they totally rearranged things so that there's a block of anime-only events that lead into Rail Zeppelin, and it's a whole thing. Please release those light novels in English. Anyway, Papa Sony. From there, though, Dr. Heartless is still like, oh, but how will you beat all these branches? And Waver's like, you're right, I couldn't do it if I was alone. But I'm not alone, fuck you. And actually, really, this is actually super interesting for FGO. We get to see Olga Mary at work.
Yeah.
She does a full chant, the full Anime Sphere style chant, which is very interesting. And for reasons I will not elaborate on, you should all commit to memory. I could double check it right now, but that would involve playing the episode, which doesn't work for YouTube reasons. But yeah. And she gets to show how much of a badass she is because she calls down a rain of shooting stars to blow up all the trees. So at this point, this is something I realized. Lucky, you may not have remembered it because I don't know how long it's been since you, watched Unlimited Blade Works. Did you know, though, that this whole visually, at least, I think in the anime, this is a deliberate reference to Fate's Stay Night, and I think specifically certain parts of Unlimited Blade Works, at least visually. Because when Gil creates the Holy Grail, when he actually summons Anger Manu and all that, it creates a big circle in the sky. And lines like shooting stars fly up toward it. And then in the end of in the climax of Case Files, Dr. Heartless creates a big scary orb in the sky, and then shooting stars fall all around it. So I think it was a deliberate visual homage, either by the anime or originally in the light novel. Oh, and then Waiver's like, I guess it's time for the second arrow, and it turns out that the train crew are not slouches. And they load some Mystic Eyes into their Mystic Eye gun. The train engine transforms from a spooky Iron Man face into a scary skull, and it shoots a big wave beam that blows up the reality marble thing. And it was pretty cool.
Demon trains ain't taking your shit.
Yeah. So then Dr. Heartless is kind of like, he kind of, jumps off the side of the train, and he's kind of bummed out. He's like, oh, that's too bad. I really wanted to retreat, but oh well. Hey, Faker, it's time to go. And she's like, nope, gotta kill this guy. He's made me real mad. I'm real pissed off. I gotta kill him even though I don't have any weapons left. She tries to curse Karabo, and it doesn't work, because Gray, Ad basically keeps eating the magic energy of her curses or whatever. But she does manage to get them with her Mystic Eyes to get them to stop. And then Karabo gets spin-kicked. Really, really bad. Spoilers, he dies. Not right now, but he does die.
He did.
Because he got kicked by a servant, which sucks, no matter how bad you do it. And then she's gonna kill Gray, and Gray is trying really hard to fight back, but she can't. But hey, Waiver does the thing you were all expecting him to do. He throws the little talisman in front of Faker, which fucks up her Mystic Eyes at the last minute. So Gray cuts her, and then he jumps down and he gives Iskander's speech. Glory lies over the horizon, which. It basically, this is kind of the culmination, this is the climax of his character arc, because he said this earlier where he was like, I understood that I wanted to follow in Iskander's footsteps, but I didn't know what that meant. So I'm like, this is me now. This is the glory over the horizon. I'm gonna challenge things just because I know it's there kind of stuff. And kind of, self-actualizes. But then he falls over and tells Gray, hey, you're gonna have to finish it, because I'm done. I'm tapped out. I need to take a nap. He cracks his glasses. I'm like, somebody get me a Monster or something. No, wait, this is early 2000s. Somebody get me a Red Bull. Faker is still sufficiently pissed off. She's like, fine, fuck it. I'm going to use my Noble Phantasm. So she summons her chariot with, and Dr. Heartless hops on, because, I don't know. He's just along for the ride, I guess. I
wish you wouldn't do this, but whatever.
So actually they do a very cool thing where they show the credits, but do not do the ending theme. So they play the credits as Gray gets ready to retaliate. Faker is doing her full Noble Phantasm chant in the air. Gray starts unlocking the thing, but she's like shaking. She's very fidgety until Karabo, who is, now we realize how fucked up he is. He's like, he got kicked, but he has a big sucking chest wound now, which is not how kicks normally go. But he puts an arm on his shoulder and is like, hey, so if you want to use the lance right, you're holding, as he phrased it, you're holding a lance made of prayers. It's made up of 13 different prayers. You have to basically do like people in the past do and pray for the lance. And then Ad gets really snippy and he's like, that's right, Gray, you have to actually, ask for it. You have to want it. And she has the self-actualization of her character where she's like, I want to protect everybody. I want to be a person who protects. And then this is a very interesting and cool moment, especially for us who kind of know some of the mechanics behind some of these Noble Phantasms, where Ad's like, pseudo-personality suspended, Seal 13 queries start, and you get to hear some of the 13 seals.
I actually pulled up the restraints page if you actually want me to read them out real quick.
Sure, I think I remember them pretty good, but go ahead and read them.
Alright, so the 13 spells are basically the restraints that the Knights of the Round put on Excalibur and Rongo. Mm-hmm. And basically to unlock them, each one has to meet a certain condition. And each knight put on a specific one. So Bedivere's is the enemy must be more powerful than oneself.
Check.
Palameda's, the battle must be one-on-one.
I don't think that was covered, but I don't think it would have mattered anyway, because technically Dr. Heartless was there.
I think they only did the ones that were approved. I'm just reading them all.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lancelot's is the enemy must not be an elemental.
Mm-hmm.
Mordred's is the battle must be won against evil. Galahad is the battle must not involve personal gain. Gaheris is the battle must not be against humanity. Gareth is unknown. Agravains is the battle must be for truth. Kay's is the battle must be to live. Arthur's is the battle must be to save the world.
So interestingly, the seals that were unlocked in this one were it's not against an elemental, because she's not a fairy.
Mm-hmm.
This battle is against a person stronger than you. This battle is to live, and this battle is for truth.
Yeah. There's also three more, but they're all unknown.
We've never seen all 13 seals undone.
Yeah. One's comrade in arms must be courageous. The battle must not be against one pure of heart. And the battle must be an honorable one.
Now it may just be that, they decided to skip some of those, but also I think it's telling that some of those were not called out. I think I understand why, for purposes of themes are important, kids, that truth, Agravain Seal was the last one, because obviously it's case file, it's a mystery series.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's really interesting that the 13 seals asked the questions, and they did not find that this was against someone who wasn't pure of heart. This person was not evil. It probably wasn't one-on-one for purposes of, actual, it counts. Because Dr. Heartless was writing on, what did she call it? Was it Hecatic Wheel?
It's something like that.
Yeah, it's not the Gordius Wheel. It's her own weird version of it so we did not, unleash all the seals, but we did enough to go to stage 3. And Gray does her full chant, old mystics eliminate sweet mysteries, return all of the void, and she does the full thing, and you get to see the title of the episode. By the way, there's some really sick animation in this part, as the pillar of light goes up, and then, the Hecatic Wheel shines with red lightning. But the title of episode 12 is, Lightning versus the Shooting Star, which I think is very thematically appropriate. There was a lot of little touches in this episode which I really liked, and it ended very strongly. I like it a lot, because it immediately, because they played the credits already, is after Greyfire's Ron, the episode just ends, hard cut.
Just done. Laser beam, done.
And then we get to 13. So 13 is all what they call denouement. 12 is the climax, 13 is denouement. It's all the exposition, and here's what happens now and all that stuff. I will say, I feel like it kind of sucks a little bit out of the conclusion for 12, because 13 very clearly establishes, hey, Dr. Heartless survived, he did something at the end to escape, and his plans are not completely foiled. Faker still exists, she's still summoned, there's still stuff going on, and obviously they're like, this isn't over. Which I think is, for the ending of your show, is a little, I think it kind of sucks some of the fun out of the end. Hopefully, though, Case Files did very good, we might get a second season, or a movie or something, to cover the plot threads in later volumes.
Mm.
I hope so. That, or like I said, translate those nice novels, please. Give them to me. I will buy them. I will buy them all. But still, it's the general conclusion. Gray's in a hospital. She has a conversation with Callas about stuff. Waiver's in a hospital. He has a conversation with Flat and Zvin about stuff. Zvin is not allowed to go visit Gray because he's too weird. Poor Ogamari didn't get to... She missed Gray and Waiver in the hospital, but did get to see Renez, and maybe they became evil tiny BFFs? I don't know.
There was a line that really stuck out to me when...
Renez even said, I didn't know you were a poet.
But there's a line that Olga Marie says that if her father had found the Greater Grail, it would have been another world in another time. I'm just all like...
so basically the full line is, I believe, is if father had found the Greater Grail he'd be looking for, his wish would have been fulfilled, but I suppose that is another place in another time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, it is. Which is a time you would not enjoy very much, Olga Mary, but it happened.
It happened.
So there's that. We kind of get the whole resolution of everything. We have a final conversation with Ms. Adashino, where she reveals that maybe she has ulterior motives, because as was This was actually used in the exposition earlier to make you think that maybe she was the bad guy the whole time. It was mentioned that Dr. Heartless was her brother-in-law, or her adoptive brother, or whatever. I think the actual translation phrasing was a little bit weird, but they were both adopted by a mage family, so she says that she's got some complex relations there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool and all. And get some resolution, and also she's still a real troll face. Also, I don't know about kimono patterns, but I'm dead certain that her wardrobe change was significant somehow. She had a different, I know her kimono was partially destroyed in 12, but from what I understand of the themes and stuff, there's no fucking way that wasn't symbolic of something. I just don't know what. What's his face? Sven graduates to the rank of Pride, which is... somebody actually posted the chart in spoiler chat again, because apparently it's been updated. Let me see if I can pull the big one up.
It's the third rank, I think.
Yeah, it's the third rank up, so let me see where that is in terms of... Yeah, so it's Cause, Fez, Pride. Which, by the way, Waiver is Fez rank. He's the second. So, as he likes to comment that, yet he's had yet another student surpass him and rise to the third rank. Showing that Sven is a real prodigy, because that was something Kenneth did. He was promoted to the third rank as a teenager. And they set up some stuff, like, some of the other tower staff are not necessarily angry, but they're experiencing some manner of feelings about how good of a teacher Waiver is, because this is like his second or third student that has risen to the rank of Pride. That's cool, though. He's apparently a really good teacher. There's some celebratory stuff. We get some dialogue, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Sven is still obsessed about Gray, and Flat is still a troll. Also, the classmates have a really cheerful moment where they, clap and celebrate Waiver as his teacher, even though Waiver is not as high ranked as his student now. It's apparently Christmas time, and so while out shopping for some stuff, Gray runs into Melvin, who explains some of his things going on again. He kind of warns her that Waiver might decide to go off and do his own thing, but then he explains something interesting that wasn't brought up in the series before now. That he is a tuner, which is I don't remember the details. I think that's mostly a Tsukihime thing too, but. Basically, he adjusts and repairs magic crests, so he is looking after and repairing the magic crest of the El-Melloi group, because, Kenneth died pretty hard and was very, very beat up. And also his magic circuits were blown up a little by Kiritsuku's, terrifying bone bullets. But so he's repairing that, and also when he took on the El-Melloi's debt, Waiver had to give something in collateral, which was his own magic crest of the Velvet family. So his buddy's holding on to that for him, and he's like, "It's the ultimate way that a mage will not betray you if you're holding his crest." So they talk about some stuff. Waiver got smashed at the party that they had for Sven's graduation. And he and Gray have some talk about some stuff where she's... the executive summary is basically she's like, "Yo, teacher, you shouldn't go after this Holy Grail War thing, but also, if you do, I'd like to be there with you." And he's kind of like, "Yeah, okay, if I go anywhere, you can come with me." And then he falls asleep. And then he has a dream. And the dream is Iskander. Iskander was already dreamy, but literally he's in Waiver's dream now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a very heartfelt conversation, where basically Waiver kind of talks about how he's like, it's basically like, "I really want to see you again. I want to be there with you, and we want to do the thing. But I also acknowledge that, and I want to reach your level and even, fight alongside you or even surpass you," kind of thing. He wants to follow in his footsteps. And he's like, "I don't think I'm not to that point yet, obviously, but I understand that, I've put a lot of work in to get to this point. There's, this lovely image of all the past Waivers."
Yeah,
also,
cool.
I find it funny earlier at the end, I think Melvin says this, but it comes up at a couple points that, like, they re-emphasized that Waiver was 19 and 0.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. I'm like, God damn, he was he was such a little skinny bitch of a 19-year-old. He had a really late growth spurt. Don't ask me how. I'm pretty sure that's not how that works, but that was probably that Nasu, or the case files writer, was like sorting out the timeline later, and they were like, shit. But still, so they have some conversation about, Waiver in the past and how he's growing, and Ishtar basically asks, is like, okay, I'm just a phantom in your dream if you'll allow me to ask a question, but the point that matters, was your journey up to this point fun? And Waiver's like, yeah, it was. And then
much emotional.
Yeah, lots of emotional catharsis. Though still not the complete resolution, obviously, because that's kind of the whole thing. There's an ending montage, for instance, where it shows everybody going about their business. Renes and the other lords are kind of meeting. They're talking about stuff. Shishigo is just eating he's having a drink in Waiver's favorite cafe. Some of the students are just chilling in the classroom, and we've got this lovely first-person walking shot of somebody's boots, somebody's shoes. So you can't be 100% sure, but you're pretty sure. It's Waiver. He shows up at the beginning. We fade out to the final title of the episode, and he's like, class begins. Though also we see Dr. Heartless and Faker in a cave in this montage, too. And that's the end of Case Files. Credits roll. So, first off, I talked a lot about them, because that's just how it works. Sometimes, I guess, with the recaps. Lucky, how did you feel about the last two episodes in general? And then let's talk about the whole series overall, and I'll let you wax on both those points for a while before I start over, because I need to drink some water.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I feel like a majority, as I said, I don't know the actual light novel, so I don't know how to get a script, but from what I understood, they added a bunch of cameo characters and actually made them somewhat relevant to the plot. So, this Case Files anime, there was a lot of work went into it, especially the adaptation of it. So I really do appreciate it. I kind of make it I kind of feel like they took something that's all right, let's make this something that's more visually appealing, than something that appeals more to the greater Fate community as a whole. Because that's the thing about Fate. Fate is, it's so many fucking different titles now, and everyone's always looking to see bits of other Fate works in other Fate works, because it's this giant connected universe. And so I think they do very well on there. I was one of my main complaints, though, which has started from the beginning, is just the style of detective work. As I said, the audience, who's just, who can do nothing but observe, has almost literally no way of figuring out what's going to happen, because it's literally waving and it's all Waiver going, it's fucking magic, yo.
Well, yeah, this is a thing I thought of when watching the episode as some stuff happened, because, when it was Cowles was the true perpetrator, because he's not even fucking Cowles.
Yeah, and you're just what?
I mean, there were, theoretically, there could have been some clues. We probably weren't paying super close attention to Cowles' dialogue. They did remark when he did the healing that was very advanced. I think Ogomari even says, oh man, you must have really learned a lot from this guy in a couple of weeks. But that could just be that maybe he learned a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's they've been going through this whole series that Waiver is all oh yeah, people who teach them learn really good shit, to the point that even fucking Luvia's oh, your price is private lessons? I'm in. So it's one of those things that, apparently he's really good at teaching. It's not something you question.
And theoretically, some of the parts were there, what's your face? Adeshina was correct that at least the means of murder was Karabo's eyes. And that was potentially played out to the audience beforehand and kind of elaborated, but you couldn't figure out who was the real controller. And some of that may have been and heck, even then, Adeshino even calls him out when they meet in 13th. Hey, some of that stuff you said was probably conjecture and had no proof. Or Dr. Heartless even says it. He's you don't have any proof, bro. It's all speculation and circumstantial evidence. You got nothing, copper. And Waver's you're right, I don't have anything, but I have determination, and I'm gonna keep poking you until you do the thing.
He's give me back my relic.
He's okay, fine, fuck, I'm gonna summon my servant and do the thing.
But
I kind of agree, because what I was thinking was that this is a far cry from what they call a fair cop whodunit, which is a style of mystery novel that the audience can solve the mystery before the detective does. Basically the clues are all there and you can actually understand everything and, solve it. Which Case Files explicitly is not, because one of the rules of a fair cop whodunit is there can be no magic.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. This is literally a anime about mages doing crimes and solving crimes. Thus, magic is a established factor. Now, Waiver usually does a very good job of establishing the mechanics of magic when he exposits, but usually that's when he's already figured them out, because as a character, he knows all the rules.
Yeah. That's actually one of...
Theoretically, maybe if we knew more about all the ins and outs of the Nasuverse stuff, because there is a lot of JP-only stuff that we don't have access to, or even mediums that we haven't cared to look at, even if they are translated and stuff, but maybe if you were a super fan of the whole thing, or at least this part of the franchise, you could understand some of it and guess it beforehand. But yes, that said, honestly, I think some of that might be intentional, because as Waiver likes to say, it's not really the whodunit story, it's the whydunit story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the end, it's a lot about exploring the motivations of why these things happened. Which, that said, I would agree, though, that that's not necessarily a payoff, because it's not even ever clearly explained why exactly Dr. Heartless did it.
Yeah.
He explained that, Waiver said, this case already happened, it's an echo. The actual thing you wanted to do was to assemble all these mystic eyes so you could, observe and create a lesser Grail. Well, you've done that. And that's just an extension of this thing. You're not even after Trisha's mystic eyes, it's just she could have figured out who you were on the train. Because you were gonna buy these high-level mystic eyes of Carbo and, get away with it and get all the stuff. And then he's like, but why did I do the thing to summon the servants or whatever? Because that's something that Adashino says later. Like I said, that's why I'm kind of about 13, because 13 deliberately points out that plot threads are hanging. And I'm like, oh, but don't do that to me, because you're not going to solve the fucking plot threads. I know, the anime is over. So, visually, as an anime, it's pretty good. And I think as an adaptation, it does a very decent job of introducing us to all these characters. But, yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I agree with you that it's... Yeah, that's me. I know. I'm starting to talk, but you unfortunately pushed a button of one of my thoughts that I had to get out. But no, I'm bringing it back around. I agree with you that the nature of the mystery solving gets kind of weird, because it's not even fucking solved at the end. Right? Right, Lucky? It's not? Oh, hold on, audience. Lucky crashed. So I'm going to pause the recording and get back to it. No. Alright, Lucky is back. So what I was saying before was that I think I agree with you that the way the anime is built is very nice, but it's weird how it doesn't, it hands you all the answers to questions, but then at the end, it doesn't even answer everything, because it's very obviously the story goes on. I'm like, but the story doesn't go on for me.
Yeah. This is just an incentive for go buy the fucking light novels, and this is when we scream, we don't have the light novel. Cry. But there's something else that I super fucking appreciate about this series, is that it basically does a fuck ton of world building for the Fate universe in a political sense and the mages sense. Because I think we mentioned this before, when you look at actually in most of them, Fate Grand Order, Fate Stay Night, Fate Apocrypha, all these, the Mages Association is apparently this big deal, but it's more often than not just a background detail to what is ever happening in the fucking moment.
Yeah, they're just the big bad guy who lurks. Heck, even in Kara no Kyokai, Toko has a ceiling designation on her. She is on the run from the Mages Association, but that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. So this is good to, so it basically, explains a little bit about how, the Mage Associations work with Clock Towers. Clock Towers specifically. They bring in, a bunch of the, department heads. You see a little bit of the politics. You learn a little bit about ranks, how they operate. The effects on, on the Holy Grail, as a whole. How, their classes work. it takes time to explain something that's kind of like not been explained at all, and definitely in animation sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was telling you about, like how Case Files was really timely with the Teach-Me Omega segment of what is the Major Association, and I'm like, man, I'm really glad these were kind of concurrent.
But also, that you mentioned that most of that information comes from Case Files itself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a big loop, but it was in fact very handy.
Yeah. I think another one of my complaints though is Case Files is a series that is actually done. Why did they start like in the middle? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure. Was it because they did do their own exposition?
Like they mentioned, like previous cases, is the Rail Zeppelin like case the like major arc of the series?
I mean, I would assume it was one of the iconic arcs because of Faker.
Yeah, because like there's I checked, like there's several other like arcs and stuff, but maybe this is like the overarching, like this is the arc that leads to the finale.
Right, it's entirely possible that the previous arcs were in the light novel linked to Dr. Heartless in the way that the anime-only stuff in Case Files anime was linked to Dr. Heartless. I don't know.
But this is like maybe the first arc where he maybe actually appears, and so they actually wanted to have like the payoff of a villain reveal without having to.
They wanted to show us the real villain, the real antagonist, and also, like I said, I do think that, I mean, look at that character design. How could you not? She's great. I mean, 100%. I'm glad they decided to show her, but still, maybe this is the most iconic scenes. Like, also the whole railway mystery thing is kind of a big deal in mystery stories. I could see how maybe the audience likes that. I mean, there was a lot of other bullshit, like the Holy Church got involved in the end in there. There was lip service to dead apostles. I don't know.
They got treated like the Holy Grail War does. There's a gag order.
So yeah, I don't know. We're not plugged into the JP fan base proper, so I don't really know what they like. Like, we know because they talked about it on FGO streams that the JP audience voted, Babylonian Camelot as their number 1 and number 2 of what I want an animated adaptation of, and hence they decided to go forward with the Camelot movies and the Babylonian Anime. Blanked out there for a second. Probably because we've been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Flex it. But yeah, so I don't think the anime is perfect. Like I said, 13 really sucked a lot of the fun out for me. 12 was really, really good. It was paced very well. It flowed very well as the big reveal into the big action scene. And then it just kind of ends. And then 13 is just like, well, they got away. We'll get them next time.
Shakes his fist.
I'm gonna still teach and maybe not go to the Holy Grail War, even though anybody who's following this franchise knows I don't go to the Holy Grail War anyway. Like, I don't know, maybe in the anime they decided to make it much more of a focus on Waiver's character arc. So maybe the deduction stuff was cleaner in the light novels, we don't know. And we'll never know until either somebody in the audience is like, yo, here's the full thing translated, or they sell them to us. Whatever works. I do know that the manga starts at an earlier adaptation, but I also don't know if they're licensing that over here yet either. Alas. Alack.
Let me go yell at Yen Crest or something.
But yes, that's our overall thoughts on Case Files. The anime's good, but I do want
to say Troika did a absolute amazing job animating it.
Yes, the production value of the anime is great. The animation is all lovely. The voice cast was all really good. Like, I didn't feel like anybody was out of place.
Sound design in general, real good. The music, very iconic.
Yeah, I need to find that OST. And I found it really interesting, and I loved it a lot that they didn't have a traditional anime opening song. They basically composed the main theme to the anime opening, which worked really well.
Some people have compared it and reminded them to other, like, mystery openings and whatnot. Because it kind of has a, I can't remember who said, but it says it reminded them of the Sherlock opening. And,
yeah, I'm sure it's an homage of, it's like a normal American TV opening. It's like, there's an original composition of song, and there's, like, weird moving stuff, and there's some it plays the original themes, and it's really good. And, listen, another thing, I like a lot of the callbacks. I'm pretty sure the callbacks were there, but, like the fact that the Case Files author, I think, really emphasizes and gets how much of an impact Iskandar had on Waiver's character, which is good, because it should be important. And Waiver was one of the few people to survive that Holy Grail War and was a good boy after. So it's an interesting development, but like I said, I think I agree. I'd really like to read the whole thing in its entirety in the original, or just make more anime. Like if you just made the whole thing, I'd be okay with that. But maybe they didn't want to block out too many seasons of Fate this year, because Babylonia is going to be the big one at 2 cours.
Yeah, and we also got the movies coming up. 2.
That's right.
So another thing,
3 sometime, and then the 2 Camelot movies next year.
It's a lot of Fate, yo.
Yeah.
But I guess like another thing that kind of I felt might have got glossed over is Gray's origins.
Yes, they make sure to let you know what her deal is at a few points, but they don't show it and they don't explain anything.
Yeah, Gray's there. She has she was part of a village. She has a literal fucking legendary weapon.
They do a very, in the Fairy Eyes arc, they do a very ham-fisted exposition, which is like, Gray's scythe isn't actually a scythe, it's a relic that protects a true mystery, and we reveal Rungo.
Ta-da! And you're like, what?
Well, I wasn't like, what? I'm like, yeah, there it is. Because I knew already. And also, everybody in Japan could have known already because Gray was released before this, and that's her Noble Phantasm.
Yeah.
As a welfare. Which I was like, boy howdy, wow, they are really not playing any of this shit close to the vest. Like, they were like, boom, Gray's got Rungo right there in her welfare version. You've already read those light novels. Or, like, was it the second key visual poster was like, Gray versus Faker, which Faker's visual design is very much like, is she wearing fucking Alexander's outfit with his sword? Like, anybody who was a highly detail-oriented member of the franchise would have been like, So I don't know, maybe that's why the anime is a little weird in points, because they operated under the assumption that because the light novel series was popular, and it was an adaptation, and that it was in FGO at least, or some of it was, that they didn't have to do some of the exposition.
Yeah, maybe.
That said, I think that still hurts the final composition.
It hurts the final composition, but I guess it depends on basically the audience that the anime was made for, I suppose.
True, there is an intended audience. Unfortunately, us filthy foreigners were probably not it. But we enjoyed it okay. I liked it enough to keep it around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it over as often as I watch Unlimited Blade Works, which I like a lot, but it's good. Careful, Lucky, that's coming across on the microphone.
Oh, sorry. I got really interested in my fucking mic arm spring.
That's okay, I do that sometimes. That's where some of the blowing comes from, but yeah. Noise editing will cut on some of that. But if you hear any weird metallic sounds, Lucky wiggle his mic arm like I did just then.
Tee-hee.
But yeah, we're at almost 2 hours. This is a super long comeback episode of Let's Tech FGO. Do you have any other points about Case Files you want to raise? I think I'm tapped out.
No. It's good. It's bad. You know, Lucky will give it I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Are you excited for the Case Files collab 2 years from now?
Yeah, I will constantly cry that fucking trainee? Tremel. Is not her own servant though.
That's just gonna encourage you. We're gonna roll for Rennes anyway.
Probably.
Filthy degenerate.
Yes, I am. I have an official title. Roll, I mean, for that.
But seriously, Case Files collab 2 with Faker when? Listen, Lucky has his tastes, I have mine. Which is to say that my tastes are more narrow than Lucky's, because I'm sure he wouldn't mind either.
Wasn't that a joke? Lucky, I didn't know you were into X. Lucky, yes.
Yeah, that's come up before. But alright, let's wind down. People will wonder. After the cutoff, I think was at about 57 minutes. It is now we're now at an hour and 57 minutes unedited. So I'm gonna be guessing that people are gonna be like, "What the fuck? There's half the episode left." Well, hopefully they'll come back to it after, because Case Files is done now, afterward. And yes, I reiterate, if you're still here, depending on how we figure out our watching Babylonia situation, we're probably going to be talking about that one concurrently too. We'll do it at the end, and we'll make sure to warn you that we're about to do it. Like I said, it's 21 episodes, kids. I don't think we can wait the whole, whatever months to finish it, because we'll forget some of that shit by then. That said, super excited. There was a new CM that came out, and, it shows MASH doing some stuff, but also Ishtar does some fighting. Does some fucking Suzaku Kurugi, whatchamacallit, hurricane vacuum kicks.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to play up, the no kids, for real, there will be real action. Because I know some people in our community have been like, but MASH can't be your only servant, right? How can she fight things? And I'm like, dude, MASH is like Strength C. We've already seen her do some shit in the previews. Like, she can fight. And there will also be loads and loads of supporting characters for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Axe. I really wanted her to be in her third Ascension, but I guess they're saving that for Camelot. They have to save something for Camelot. They've already given away Lord Camelot. Though, I don't know if MASH will use that at any point in the anime. Because I don't think she does it as a plot arc at any time.
No, if they do that, I really want them to save it for fucking...
No, that should be the big climax scene of Camelot 2, is, Lord Camelot. Even though they already showed that in episode 0 of Babylonia. I wonder if our two production teams are not talking to each other. Or, as we've discussed with Case Files, Fate Media is really bad about not promoting its own spoilers. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I'm sure that stuff that's relevant for, like, Heaven's Feel has been spoiled in there somewhere by now. Maybe not for us, but in, like, JP. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna wind the show down now.
Let's wind down.
Okay. Well, we're coming up towards the end of the month, so I'll remind everybody that, patrons are a thing. If you want to get in and vote on future stuff, you want to join us live and all that, you can support us on Patreon, get the audio early and all that stuff. And we will be running a new poll for Teach-Me Omega Sensei, which we also talked about this episode. So, if you have any suggestions for that, go for it. And if you want to vote in those polls, Patreon. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to give us a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel to get all of our latest videos. I swear there will be more of them in the future. This week was very light because of the thing with the internet. And also another thing, but we're going to talk about that on WhatsApp. And even if you're already subscribed, don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. You always know we post a new episode in case we, post an episode late or something.
We might do.
And, I already did the Patreon thing, but yeah, for as little as $1 a month, you can listen to our episodes in audio format downloadable. For larger amounts, you can listen to the episode live, like a lot of our patrons like to do. And it really helps us out and supports us. So, we will see you next week for more Let's Take FGO. Like I said, no matter what, for the sake of safety, or possibly for the sake of catching up, we're going to do the Shimosa pregame then. And we will continue to let you know about anything weird coming out in JP. Not that I think there's anything to worry about, because they've announced the Halloween rerun will start the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Though, who knows, they might add some stuff when they do the rerun. And stay tuned for What's Up sometime, and other content we do from time to time. Like Lucky Streamer.
Right.
Yeah. Lucky Streams now again.
Oh, that's a story now.
Yeah, well, especially because I don't know, because I was literally out of contact.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I couldn't even follow along on YouTube. I would have sucked through all my mobile data. Alright, yep. Well, we'll see you next time for Let's Take FGO and stuff. Alright, we out.
Lucky out.